Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for your patience. I just woke up like 20 minutes ago, and my allergies are giving me, I don't know, a nightmare, I guess. I'm sneezing all over the place. My nose is running. It's not fun for me. So, if I duck away from the camera from time to time, it's that you don't have to see the grossness that is seasonal allergies. I'm actually wheezing a little bit too, because that's just what happens in my morning. So, yeah. So here we are. We are on the 8th of the new year. It's just exciting. Some interesting things happening. And we've got some new units to talk about. I'm sure everyone and their mother's talking about the new specialists on their podcasts or whatever else. But I wanted to take the time to kind of go back over the lists that we've already built and kind of show where the specialists can fit into that build. Because I think that, they're really effective. We already wrote some of the CIS Mechanized builds with the T-Series as a 55-point unit with a command slot. But now that we know its rules, we can kind of mess around and create new builds that also still don't include a meat bag. I'll come right out and say it. I'm not a huge fan of either of the new commanders. Not because they're not good, but because I think they're really, really, really good. And I think that direct is actually not an ideal keyword for either of them. And the reason for that, as we're going to see, is that in the sense of GAR, the direct order actually is 2 free orders, because you would just always, if you can, if 5s is not in an arc squad, you always order 5s, and that replicates an order. And even if you don't order 5s, you're always setting up a second fire support situation. It's just really strong for GAR to have that option. And then, excuse me. Ugh, gross. In the case of droids, it takes away any skill there was in trying to set up your B1 chains or anything like that. And I know people are like, well, the T-Series is super weak, and, like, Bosk can take it down super easily. Like, bounty hunters, everyone just talks about Bosk, can take it down super easily. It's going to sit and stare at a wall all day. And that's true. But bounty's not been a very strong keyword because there's so many things that can just delete bounty hunters, that if you're going to sit and stare at a wall, Boss can't shoot you if he can't see you. The real threat you're going to have to worry about is Boba. I don't see enough Cad Bane play to really expect Cad Bane to be a threat on the table. So your next option is Boba, and he's got to make it there and make it out alive, which he might be able to, but it just doesn't feel like now I was saying to people, like GGB1 uplinks, because it's gone the way of the dodo. You might include one for redundancy, but you're just never gonna have to worry about AI on your core ever again, and it just doesn't feel that great. The other thing too about the clone commander is, and this is I call this a hot take, I think he could actually have no keywords and still probably be like 50-55 points, just because of how clones work. The clone trooper keyword. You'd just be a cheap commander who gives you access to the command suite, and you could just aim dodge every turn with him. He'd just be a token machine. And he'd probably still be strong. Like, maybe he could keep Sharpshooter 1 and still be insane. He doesn't need bolster. He doesn't need really doesn't need direct. He's incredible. And I think that we talked a little bit about how strike teams, Clone War strike teams just blow GCW strike teams out of the water. Well, the same things happen with these officers, or these generics. They're just heads over tails better than their Imperial and Rebel counterparts. So We're going to be building a lot with them, but I will be the first to say I'm not a huge fan of the design choice. I would have rather, honestly, that they had, like, so this is like half of Entourage, right? Because Entourage is, you get a Special Forces unit, an extra slot for a Special Forces unit, and you get to give them a free order. I wish they had gone the other way. Instead of giving them the free order from Entourage, I'd rather they had given them the mess with the force organization chart aspect of the of Entourage. That would have actually, I think, been more interesting. Like if the T series had allowed you to spam more B1s or B2s. If the clone commander, I actually would think the clone commander would have been interesting if like he actually maybe took away something. Like, hey, you took a clone commander, now you can't take an extra. Now you can only take 5 core. But then he could be really strong in that situation. So they're really, really good, and I don't love them. I'm just gonna say that right now, in front of everyone. I'm not a fan. So you can crucify me for that. That's fine. I don't mind. I said what I came here to say. Stream's over, guys. Go home. No, not really. We have a lot to do. So let's get this started. Let's get this out of the way so I can get this. All right, cool. So let's start off with the Republic. We're going to start off with our good old 5s fire support. We're going to take 5s. We're going to take O-Push. We're going to take targeting scopes. And that's it. And now we're going to take a unit of phase 2s with Z6. We're going to take, I think it was some Arc Strikes, right? Is that what I did last time? Arc Strikes? Probably, because they're just so darn good. Take another unit of phase 2s. Take... Man, I still want to take Obi-Wan, but no, that's right, because we don't want to take Obi-Wan. We have access to medics now. Obi-Wan's good, but medics are awesome. I think we go... We'll take some phase 1s with... I like having 2 phase 2s because it gives us access to surges a lot. So let's go with a couple of phase 1s with clone medics. And with some DC-15s. That'll let them play safe while also having a really good pool. And we're going to take Obi-Wan. Okay, so this one's actually not even going to include a clone commander, which I'm fine with. This is more just good. This is going to include medics. We're going to want barrier. I know we're already too expensive. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. We'll get there. We're going to want push. We're going to want aggressive tactics. So we're going to want situational awareness. Oh my gosh, we're 30 points over. Ugh. Rough. These medics are so expensive. Man, I don't even know what to cut. Maybe just go down to phase 1s. Let's see how that looks. Maybe just go Z6 phase 1s. Lose a little bit of the surges to gain... Okay, so that puts me 2 points over. Okay, that's not so bad. Let's actually just cut O-Push. There you go. Now, if the worst happens and your 5 squad takes some damage, you can just regenerate them now. It's 2 points of healing. Plus, your phase 1s that you'll be fire supporting will do more damage. Versus not having as many surges every turn. So that's the trade-off you gotta make. It is a decision that I leave unto you. You could also very easily change out a DC-15 trooper for... Well, here, let's just do this. You could do this, too. Go clone commander. He doesn't need anything. And then we could probably take some phase 2s with... We'll give this guy the medic again. Yeah, see, we could take, like... I don't know. Can we take 2 phase 2s with... Yeah, we couldn't afford a second medic if we went that route. So we definitely probably want to do, like, a mixed bag here. But you could take, like... a different, like, suite of characters and go like that. That's, oh man, that 12-point bid though. Oof. But no, that's probably fine. I mean, that's a 12-point bid, and that's not bad. No, wait, we got rid of O-Push for some reason. Why did we get rid of O-Push? There you go. We give him O-Push back. 8-point bid. Seems fine. Like... It just it helps you. It lets you decide between like surges and heals. But again, the advantage of the clone one being, if you haven't seen it, I guess I probably should go over real quick. It doesn't have treat 2 or treat 1 capacity 2. It's got treat 1 capacity 1, but he gets to get a gun. He's not a non-combatant anymore. So we'll talk more about how that affects the math once we get to the math portion of it. But suffice to say, he's pretty good. You actually probably should take him in a phase 2 whenever you get the chance. So I actually probably screwed that up. I think you actually want to go like this. He's just more value down here as to what he actually does. So, boom, there he is. Yeah. All right. Now let's do a build. Well, no, I'll let you. We'll do builds later. We'll do community builds later. For now, that's like 5 fire support options with medics. You got some stuff there. Let's see here. I mean, clone engineer has no real value here. Clone commander is so. What's actually really funny to me is I want to show this off really quick because like somebody. There's no reason to take a clones comtech right now, just like there wasn't any real reason to take clones, or there wasn't any reason to take Imperial or Rebel comms techs until Shores and Vets came out. So I'm just going to say, yeah. Maybe there's an argument to be made if you're running like a phase 2 squad with 5s and some other stuff, like I know, or 5s with phase 1 with like 5s or whatever, because I know people do that. But I just don't see it. I don't think there's so many better ways to get orders on 5s. But anyway, so let's go to let's go over all that. All right, cool. So a phase 2 is 62 points. A phase 1 with a clone commander does not get courage 2. He gets inspire 1, but he does get reliable 1, so he's kind of the same. He becomes more of a support unit, and he's a 5-man squad, and he's 72 points. So like. Clone Commander's an interesting guy. Because there's no real parallel. Most people are going to look at the Clone Commander and think, oh, he gives a courage buff. Because, like, that's what the officers did. Well, that's not quite true. So when you see people, like, talking about, like, oh, Phase 1s with Clone Commanders just worse versions of Phase 2. Well, no. They're actually meant to be support units. The problem I have with this is that GAR's not really ever, I shouldn't say ever, but doesn't really have a problem with suppression. So having Inspire probably isn't necessary. So yeah. It's a cool guy. I don't think you're going to see a lot of play from him. I think you will see a little bit of play from the medics, but that's about it. So, let's get out of here. Let's go over to Separatists. Let's do the stuff we've all been waiting for. Ah, the T-Series. Stare at a wall. Just waiting for that clarity to kick in. Alright, so let's go with what I've always wanted to build. Always wanted to build. We are gonna take a build that is awesome. Okay, so let's see, what was this? Yeah, that's right. So neither tank needs a pilot just yet. You go 3 staff riders, all with targeting arrays. You're going to take some BX droids. Okay, you can't do that. Alright, never mind. I lied. No B extras. AT's too expensive. Okay. So, we're gonna take the pilots. We're gonna take field commanders on each of these boys. $7.99, 10 activations, and you have triple stab, double tank. Your B1s are literally just there to get orders, and your T-Series makes sure that they get orders. That's it. But you've got triple stab, double tank. You're just gonna wreck things so hard. You're just immune to suppression, basically. AI is only really a problem on the staps, but you just give the staps any command. Every command you play, you give the staps an order. That's it. Nothing else needs orders. You'll have perfect order control every turn if you can get the staps in order. As long as you can get one stab to relay to the other staps, you're fine. Yeah, it's just garbage town, and I love it. This is Separatist Mechanized Assault in its best form. So yeah, that's the thing. How do you guys feel about that? Because I think this list is going to be pretty dirty coming into the new year. I mean, how do you beat this list on like breakthrough or bombing or on even KP? Anything or payload, anything where vehicles can do like scoring value. This list is going to be insanely good. The problem is that it really doesn't have a bid, so if you can't get an objective where vehicles are good, you're probably going to take some heat. So maybe it's useful to take away like the link targeting arrays and have like a 16-point bid instead. I don't know what it's worth, but like I'm just happy I could do it. Like, that's the good thing about the T-Series. I don't love everything about the T-Series, but I do love the fact that I can build that list finally without having to worry about having to take an expensive commander. So, but let's get to the real meat of the matter. Let's get to the good stuff now. Let's get to my favorite Separatist Mechanized Assault list. It is 7. This is a TTS build. It is a 7 T-Series or a 7 T-Series list. It was 7 T-Series. I don't think anybody would run this in real life, but it's funny to me. And then I think you take. I don't even think you take anything here. I think you take another upgrade. The problem with the T-Series is that unlike the Clone Commander, you actually do sometimes want to take, what's it called? Like a portable scanner or electro-binoculars, because the Clone can just take those actions, take dodge, take aim, and everybody gets them. This guy has to bolster and still do something. So I think you take a portable scanner. Free dodges, or an extra dodge is never bad. So that's 10 activations. So we got some room to play with. Let's just go ahead and throw deflector shields on everybody. Can't do that. But I can throw deflector shields on one guy, which doesn't seem very good. We're going to take that away. Huh. Everyone has Courage 2, so Inspiring Presence is not very useful. Strict Orders does not feel very useful. Aggressive Tactics does not feel very useful. You might have some order control issues, so maybe Improvised Orders. Let's go with that. Let's see how that works out. I mean, you don't really need to get... I know what to do. Since we have AI move, we'll give everybody offensive push. There you go. 70. You still got a 14-point bid. And your opponent now has to chew through just an insane lineup. This is not using direct at all, really. Like, you don't care about it. You're just throwing a bunch of T-Series B2 Haas at your opponent, being like, chew through this. something that might be a little more competitive and a little more worth using. We're going to take those guys away. We're going to take offensive push off these guys. We're going to give ourselves a bunch of E5S's. And then... Because see, this is 10 acts already. Take a pair of Droidicas. Just is so good. Like... Now you're getting value out of that. Actually, in this case too, I would actually take aggressive tactics because now you've got the ability to trigger it effectively. Look at that. You're going to consistently get all your AT triggers on probably your B1s. You've got 2 T-Series Super Battle Droids. You've got some BXs. You just got all this value. Now, I'm of the opinion that, based on my math, PKs be real good. PKs be real good. So I'm pretty comfortable doing this and taking a big old bid. Because that'll help you regenerate any like losses as you play. Because everything is mechanized. So you could just do this and have a good time. The thing too is if you want to lose some strike teams, and go down an act, you could probably do this. Hold on, that was not what I wanted. I want... something like that, where you have one less act, but a lot more regeneration. So it's 4 worker droids. And there's no real compelling reason to activate your battle droids early, in most cases. So you will have time to use those repairs. The only issue I have with the battle droids taking PK droids is like they do explode super fast, B1s generally. So that's why like if you're not going to run an E5S where you can keep them kind of further back, probably not a good idea to run the PK series. There it is. Oh, I've been building up to that for like the last 5 minutes. Whew. Woo-wee. Oh, that felt good. Get out of here. Out of my sinuses. Alright, anyway. So yeah, there's there's a couple of mechanized versions for you. Let's cut these. Let's cut a little bit of this. Let's just get rid of the PKs for now, and then let's take triple stab. There you go. There's a bombing run list for y'all if you want to play a bombing run build. 12 activations so your opponent won't have time to respond to your stabs. If you want to get, really dirty with it, you cut all of these in favor of another BX strike team and go to 13 acts, and now your opponent, most 10 act lists will have 0 opportunity to interact with your stab riders when they're going to drop the bombs. So, pretty dirty. That's all I'm going to say about that. You could actually afford to take one more PK, but you definitely want the bid, so you probably just go. Like, even if you don't take a PK, like 700, this is a 25-point bid to go after bombing run, and you haven't given up that much of your offense. Like, you've given up your E5S's, but like, oh no, you have stabs that can do bombing run now. So, that's real good. Then there's also, let's get rid of this. I call this Separatist Stabby Assault. Take Deoxys Mines, take Stabby Boys, take 3 Stabby Boys, take a bunch of Healy Boys, because here's what you're doing with this. You want Healy Boys here because you're just making sure that your Stabby Boys don't die. So you take that. Oh, those are strike teams. Never mind, we don't want that. Get out of here, strike teams. We want. I was like, why is this not mething? It's not mething out right. Here we go. Look at that. 10 activation, 760. It's an offensive list. You get in super close and you just do the damage. Probably no, you can't take that. I thought that was off. You could probably get away with taking some weapons too. You can take probably, I think it's... No, I didn't want that on everybody. There you go. You can take 2 E5S's and 2 regular dudes and get 800 points. Look at that. Look at that. There's so many cool lists you can do thanks to the T-Series. I wish you didn't have Direct, but I like the fact that he's a 55-point commander and engages a ton of different things. The downside to some lists, though, with this is, like, if you do just take a T-Series, is Mechanized Incursion. Obviously, Roger Roger and Orbital Strike are universally good, right? Because, like, hey, it's a Bombard, which I think is actually, might even be better than Veers' Bombard. And then it's like, oh, hey, it's a token, a bit of a token spam. But then you've got Mechanized Incursion, which is vehicle-based. Which is why I'm inclined to think that some of the better lists include, like, a tank or Staps or something like that. So, if we go that route, let's just take a single tank. We'll take Lockdirt. Why not? Let's include our friend there, Lockdirt. Let's take both kinds of shells. And then we can't take another one. I was going to say we only got about 100 points to work with. Let's give ourselves a strike team to cap off our order chain. Let's give him deflector shields because we want him to win the sniper war. Let's give ourselves a couple more, or one more E5, or 2 more. Yeah, there you go. This list now does not have any issues with using its commands. Like, and you can heal back so much value with the PK series. It's really, really good. So now you're gonna notice I'm not including some of these upgrades, some of the specialist upgrades, just like the last couple sets. I don't understand some of them. So let's talk about, maybe you guys can tell me why on earth I would ever take this card. Why, oh why would I ever take the Viper? Because I don't know why I would take the Viper. I'm paying points for a range 1 to 2 weapon that's terrible. And I get Observe. Like, I guess if you want your B1s to play support, you could spend the 8 points for this model. But if my B1s are going to play support, I'd rather just have them. It's a better. I'll say this: it's at 8 points. It's better than taking Electro Binoculars. If Electro Binoculars on B1s were more prolific, I think there's an argument to be made that you'd want to take a Viper Recon droid because it's an extra wound, and Observe 2 is kind of better than an aim if you know what your target's going to be. Because, see, the flexibility of Observe is that you get to, reroll. But the downside of Observe is that you have to target the unit that you gave the tokens to, unlike Aim, where you can pick your target wherever you want. So I actually think the Observe 2 is kind of analogous to an Aim. I don't think either is technically better than the other. So, it's range 1 to 2. Maybe I'd put it in B2s. But I'd rather take a T-Series and a B2 Ha. Like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe there's an argument to, like, taking a B2 ACM with a Viper Recon droid because maybe you'll have your AI trigger and you need something to do with your second activation. I don't know. It feels awkward. I don't like it. I also, this is Mechanized Assault, so I have no reason to include the EV Series Medical Droid, but he is actually super good, and we will come back around to how good he is in just a wee bit. So, yeah. No, if we go back to clones, like I said before, I did not include The clone's Comtech, because I think right now there's just not a lot of reason to take him. I like uplink guys, but like, you don't need him. You don't need him right now. Maybe there's somebody can show me. I'm hoping maybe there's some cool build you can do with him, but it's just not worth it. Clone Engineer. Didn't really work for Fire Sport, but if we do build a Saber build, I think there's a Saber build where you can make the Saber functionally immortal now. Between Vigilance and Clone Engineers and R2, like, there's no way your Saber will ever die if you want to build into it. So, anywho, let's get on to the business of doing good builds. Or not good builds, doing some math. Doing some maths. Let's see here. If I go to stats. There we go. Oh, look at the beautiful chart. Alright, so here's the important thing to note. I have done the maths, and I have looked at it a lot. Saves don't matter when calculating the value of a heal or a repair action. It cancels itself out when you're trying to do return on interest. I did points per return on interest for... So, just so we're aware, this is the total points of the unit, how many wounds it is, how many points you're paying per wound, and then the point per wound return on investment. So, in the case of, like, what do you call it? The Imperial healing droid, you can see, like, it's usually this value minus half the value of the droid. But that's not true in all cases. So, but Imperial, Rebel, and CIS, that is true. Because I feel like, in a lot of ways, it's so hard to calculate the value of a mini like this. Because you lose a weapon, but gain a wound, and you gain access to this keyword. So I kind of just feel like just treating the keyword as its own value is the way to go. So, like, if it's a 19-point model like the Imperial unit is, it's just worth 9.5 points per heal. The extra wound cancels out the fact that it can't attack, kind of thing. It's fine. So, as you can see, as before, Empire just gets straight value down the line for healing their guys. You don't see them taken because activations are so powerful in this game, but technically a medic is never a bad investment in an Imperial list. It always gets value back. Because all Imperial models are worth more than 9.5 points. So, even your average Stormtrooper is worth 11. So, very, very good. To have Imperial medics. Same thing with Rebel medics to almost an exclusive extent, but Wookiees are not worth healing. Don't heal Wookiees. They're bad to heal. They actually do lose you some investment. Again, almost universally good, though slightly less effective than Empire. CIS healers are insane. They are Value Town. Actually, this is not the correct number. This needs to be in... Oh, it is an average. Okay, cool. Value Town for days. So much value. All of the value. You just get... They're so cheap that they... Because it's a 7-point heal, basically. That they just... 18.5 on average, heals, is super good. I think if you're taking Dooku at this point, taking 2 EVs is not a bad choice because it's 26 points per heal on Dooku. Like, and this is pre-upgrades, by the way. None of these units are just base cost units. Every time you add anything to those units, that return on investment goes up even more. This is to show you, like, the most naked units you can take, how the value actually translates. It's just so good. Now, clones are a little bit different. You're going to look at clones. I have 2 charts for clones. Now, why do I have 2 charts for clones? Because the clone medic is a combatant model, I can't treat it like the others. It does have an extra wound, it does have a gun, and it has less treat. Or less capacity. So I looked at it instead as it's an upgrade to the generic upgrade. So in the case of adding it to a phase 1, it's a 10 point. The value of the treat keyword on a phase 1 to me is 10 points, basically, because you're adding. These numbers are about right. I don't know why this didn't update. Sorry, hold on. There we go. It is value 10. That's really frustrating. Sorry, hold on. I thought I had that prepped. Anyway, it is value 10 because it's like, oh man, that makes me sad. I was really hoping that wasn't as good as it was, but now I checked my math and my math was wrong for a sec. Basically, so it's if it's 10, I think it's 10 points for a phase 1 upgrade, like a just generic dude. It's 20 points for a medic. So the cost of that treat is 10 points. 20 minus 10. Whereas phase 2 generic model is 13 points, so it's a 7-point upgrade on a phase 2. There is opportunity cost. Generally, if you're going to be playing phase 2s, you want your phase 2s going a little earlier because they're kind of stronger. So that's kind of the up and down trade-off. But yeah, they're also insanely good. 10.19 value on... Oh, I wish I should have done this in white. Hold on. As you can see, I did not get a ton of time. There you go. 10.19 on this thing here, and 13.34 if it's in a phase 2. So let's keep in mind that for medics, Imperials had an average of about 8. Rebels had an average of about 7. Clone Wars medics have an average of 18, 10, and 13. They're just better. Everything that's coming out for Clone Wars is just better than what GCW gets. It's the numbers don't lie. They're right there. Maybe as more units come out, that average will drop. But right now, it feels really annoying to see how good they are. And it gets worse. It gets worse. Let's go to Astromech. Empire actually is still king when it comes to healing off Astros, which is very nice. I'm happy about that because I do think Empire should still be the strongest armor faction in the game. Empire heals on average 10.5 wounds, or 10.5 points off of an Astro droid. Rebels heal about 8.5. CIS heals 8.93. This is where it gets interesting because there's so many things in CIS that get healed off the repair droid. Everything's at least a wash. Healing a B1 is a wash. Healing BX strike teams is the best thing you can do. Healing a tank is every heal is worth the value of the model, so that's pretty awesome because it's worth 12 points and that's how much the model's worth. BX is it's good all around to heal things in CIS. And then same thing that we did before with the medic and GAR. Again, you can see GAR actually gets the least value off of healing their tanks, but it is still valuable for them to heal their vehicles. I was going to include R2 on here, but I didn't have time because I took a nap. But R2 is still the most efficient healer that you can have in GAR. So in a lot of cases, I think that if someone's going to look at taking an Astromech, they might as well. They're probably just going to take R2 because you can just get more capacity and repair value and more keywords by taking R2. So yeah, that's my back end. Do you guys have any questions about that stuff? Smoke weed. I do not do any of that stuff. Sorry. That is not my life. I'm actually terrified of drugs. I've been ever since I was a kid. It wasn't like dare scared me or anything. I've never liked the idea of things changing the way I think. So like I rarely have ever drink. I've only ever gotten like drunk really bad once, and that was at one of my best friend's weddings. I was very excited to go see some Friday night fights at a bar. And we were going to go watch I don't even know who it was, but they convinced me. I was very, very ready to go watch some guys fight at a bar. After the day after, of course, I did not enjoy the experience. I was like, oh my goodness, I was very intoxicated. It was not necessarily great. It's not the legality of it that worries me at all, actually. Again, it's the idea like that something can change the way that you think. And the funniest thing is that I've had issues with addiction in the past. I'll be the first to say I do believe in things like video game addiction because I had all the symptoms. I don't want this conversation to get dark, so I'm going to kind of go quick through this real quick. And I know how that changed me, so I think it would be unwise for me to indulge in anything like that. How many expansions do you recommend for both factions for the Specialists? 2. And the reason that I say that is I always recommend 2. It allows you to take double generic lists, which is super helpful, especially in clones. I don't know. Again, I don't think you're going to see a lot of the clone specialist stuff. I think you're going to see the clone commander as a unit, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of the specialist upgrades as of yet. I could be wrong. But based on previous experience, when these came out, you'll see the command cards and you might see the generic played. You won't see the upgrades getting played a lot. For clones, specifically. The CIS one, I still think 2, but maybe 4? And the reason that I say that is because it gives you the option to run 1 or 2 T-Series plus B2 Haas with T-Series. I don't think you should go out and buy 7 CIS expansions to be able to run T-Series 6 B2 Ha list that I was running. That's insane. But I think if you go 2 with everything, it's just a safe bet. You can give the extra command cards to a player who didn't buy it or something. I don't know. The other thing worth noting that I didn't point out is that the clone release is also a straight upgrade to a unit that didn't need it, which is Rex. Because Rex can use the Bombard and he can use Attack of the Clones. So he's now got 5 command cards that he can use on his own that are all really good. I think you will see Rex Saber builds that allow Rex to use all 6 command cards without any sort of downside, which is just insanity. I know people are talking about like they're talking about like Saber builds that have like insane turn 1 alpha strike potential using the Bombard. I think there's actually a build that has insane alpha beta strike potential where you open with like a tank Bombard and then you follow it up with a take that clankers. And it's stupidly painful for your opponent. But we'll leave that for a different day. Right now, I don't know if I want to show that just yet. Yeah, so any other questions, comments, concerns from the public? I'm going to just sit here for a second and try not to dribble out of my nose. Ugh. Do I think clones are the strongest right now? I think that it's unfortunate that clones don't have a weakness right now. To put it bluntly. Sorry. It comes down to this idea that how do I put this? Like I said, I think this specialist release has shown again the power of the Clone Wars factions versus their GCW counterparts. Basically, it's GAR is supposed to be an elite faction, right? They're supposed to have this like elitism. They have clone trooper to try they were supposed to make up for the fact that they weren't supposed to get as many activations as everybody else. But the fact that they're able to equalize activations with Rebels and Empire is kind of troublesome. I don't think anyone will argue that any other faction comes close to the amount of activations, especially effective activations, that CIS can put out. Because if you're going to go to like 13 act, even in like Empire Rebel, you're giving up a lot to get there. CIS does not have to give up that much to get to 13 acts. They do get to take a lot of luxury upgrades on top of that. But clones have no bad keywords, really. They have insanely good units, and they can equalize the activations of other stronger or other armies that aren't supposed to be quite so elite. So I do think that they're incredibly strong. And now, whether or not the strongest faction, only time's going to tell, and we're FC tournament data. I've got access to some data that I might show in a later stream, but right now, let me put it this way. I think Clone Wars are stronger than GCW right now. I think that, especially with this new release, Empire and Rebels are really going to struggle to keep up with their Clone Wars counterparts on an average game basis. You know, top competitive people, that might be different, but like in terms of like your average player base, I think it's going to feel really bad to be a GCW player right now. Maybe Lando Callis fixes that. I also know that I've heard some unconfirmed rumors that there's some heavies in the wing. I know people were talking about a truck. I don't know enough about Rebels and stuff. I guess there was a speeder truck somebody found on a website somewhere. It was sharing on Legion things. If that's the case, that's cool. I'll wait for a little more confirmation before I get excited about heavies. I mean, that's interesting. But yeah, that's how I feel right now. Sorry, Sam, I kind of went all over the place with that, but that's how I feel about it. I do think clones are insanely strong. I think droids are insanely strong. I think it almost feels not so fun to play GCW when these lists are so much. It feels so much stronger to play the Clone Wars stuff. AR, I'm excited for Atomic Mass taking over production. I'm going to assume you mean production not in the physical sense because it's all Asmodee. In terms of like development cycle, I actually don't think a lot's going to change, honestly. In terms of like release schedules, AMG was super aggressive with Crisis Protocol in the first year, and they were very open about the fact that they were going to be aggressive. But they are, even now, they're doing a pullback that's going to be a little more stabilized releases. So what I'm hoping is that AMG opens up the design space for the game itself. I'd like to see keywords coming back more often. I'd like to see releases that aren't necessarily mirrored. That's the thing about these guys, these new releases, that they are basically mirrors of each other. In the sense of like the Clone Commander and the droid both have direct, and it feels like one of them has direct because the other one had it. It doesn't really matter which one had which. It just like, it doesn't matter like if the droid had direct to begin with, it felt like the clone got it just because they have to be the same or whatever else. I don't know. But it really does feel like they have to make the FFG was very insistent on having like mirrored units, and like that's fine. That's in their design philosophy. They've done it in a lot of games, but I'm hoping AMG's but maybe willing to walk away from that a little bit and play it a little differently. So that's, yes, I'm excited because I think AMG's going to bring a different design space for unit design. Do you think they should buff older models to get better, or just keep adjusting points? I do think they should buff older models. I think we talked about it in a previous stream. I want a card pack for GCW units that makes them more relevant. I want to, not new plastic, but like, hey, here's a new Vader card that's actually really good. Here's a new, like, units that struggle. Here's a new Fleet Trooper card that makes Fleet Troopers more viable. Here's some new characters. I don't know what you would do. Here's like, I think titles could be an interesting thing. We could talk about that later. But like, here's some like titles that makes your units unique and stuff like that. All that sort of thing would just be more interesting because I think you just keep releasing stuff. It's not, you're just gonna phase out your old stuff eventually, and maybe that's the way of things maybe in this kind of game. But I'd rather be able to play with the old stuff that I already have. Like, I'm happy the ATST has not fallen out of favor. It'd be cool if I got new upgrades to my ATST. You know, it'd be helpful to see that stuff. It'd be nice to see a Darth Vader commander card that's distinctly different and updated for the game as it is. It'd be nice to see General Veers exactly the same as he is now, except with a training slot that he should have. Zach, bit late to the party. What did you miss? You missed, unfortunately, most of the stream. We're probably going to be wrapping it up here in a little bit. Definitely go rewind, catch up. I showed a bunch of my math on how good repair droids are and how good medics are. And I showed some lists. A little bit of 5-star support, a little bit of mechanized assault. I should say a little bit of 5-star support. A good amount of Separatist mechanized assault. I flew through like 6 builds with that you can use with the new T-Series that are pretty good. So definitely rewind, catch up to that, because that's some good stuff right there. But yeah, so that's my answer to that. I would like to see old models get buffed. 100%. Give us modern versions of old cards and old units. I hope that helped. Sam? I got all my commentaries coming off YouTube this time. I don't see anything from Twitch, which is pretty funny to me. Normally I get a lot more response off of my Twitch people, but it seems like this stream's a little more mellow. Sorry, I got a tag here on Discord I gotta check while I'm waiting for you guys to respond. That always feels awkward. Zach, yeah, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. New cards, Zach. Just here's another 200-point Commander Vader card. And you don't even have to give them new commands. You just literally just new unit cards. Here's a 200-point Commander Vader who feels terrifying. Link Discord. Do you mean the Team Relentless Discord? Do you mean the Star Wars Legion Discord? Or do you mean did I put a link up in Discord for the stream? Because I definitely put a link up in Discord for the stream. Do you think they will bring out any more factions? Soft yes. I know that LFL is tough to work with from my experiences. And even back when I used to order stuff from FFG Direct when I was a store manager, I always hear about from like my vendors and stuff like how LFL was always blocking Star Wars stuff. I could see First Order. We've talked about this in the Team Relentless before. First Order would be really cool if like they can do new ways to motivate them all the time. They can take a wound on their units to like get an extra action. We just kind of say that with Maul too now. It's called like Fanatical. You may take a wound to gain an extra action, or you may take a wound at the end of your activation to gain an extra action. So because you don't want to lose a guy right away, because then nobody would ever do it. But I just think of Kylo punching himself in the side, and the guy's screaming. So it's take a wound at the end of your activation to gain an extra action for First Order Fanatical units, which would make them very distinct from their current counterparts. First Order's, or not First Order, Resistance is tricky because it's really more about the individual heroes. But it'd be really nice if like their heroes gave like aura buffs. So like, oh hey, Finn's on the field. He gives Indomitable to all of the units within, 2 of him. And, I know there's now a Resistance TV show, so maybe there's more things there. But it feels like it'd just be a lot of recycling of old Rebel stuff. So it'd just kind of be the heroes. But maybe that's fine. Maybe it's a similar faction. I feel like it should be a faction that doesn't take suppression well. That gets rid of it super easy. Everybody has Inspire, or everyone has Indomitable, or whatever else. Scum and Villainy would be exciting, but I know that there's a reason Scum and Villainy doesn't exist in Armada, and it was always kind of a smaller faction, even in X-Wing. I have a strong feeling that LFL likes heroes and villains. It doesn't like Shades of Grey necessarily. At least it didn't up until Mandalorian made a ton of money. So maybe Disney will thought of the idea now, but LFL definitely, I feel like it didn't like the Shades of Grey for Scum and Villainy, because it always seemed like X-Wing struggled to put out releases for that faction. And I wouldn't be surprised if Legion runs into a similar situation. Mandalorian Wars of the Old Republic. I think that's a stretch. I think we'll sit at either 6 or 7 factions by the end. I don't think. It also depends on High Republic. Maybe High Republic gets so popular that they create a faction of their own. I don't know. I think you're going to see a lot more of the Scum and Villainy style characters being inserted into other factions, though. Just like, Boba and Bosk already are. I think it'd be really cool. So you're saying Hondo or whatever? I think it'd be really cool if, you get a character who's neutral. Can be played at any faction, but his point cost is different. He has an upgrade that's it's the little credit symbol, and it's price. So hey, he's a 90 point base, but Empire can take him for 100 points because a 10-point upgrade. But Rebels have to pay 20 points, so on and so forth, which allow you to tailor his cost to each faction. As well as making him a universal character for everybody, which could be kind of cool. Or it could be expansions for the factions. It could be. It could very well be, but it would look weird to have Kylo Ren leading generic stormtroopers, not smiley boys. So, yeah. I think it's a cool idea. I think there's so much content to cover right now between Clone Wars and Galactic Civil War that we're a ways off from another faction. As much as everybody wants the Gungans. I know the Gungan thing is a joke. Or not a joke, but a wave, a movement. I think we're a ways off from having anything like that. Maybe sub-factions, that'd be kind of cool. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of... I don't think we're going to see a distinct faction release for at least another year, if not 2. That's just my strong presentiment. So yeah. Yep. That's where we're at with that. I apologize if some audio comes through. Thing's always really loud. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Hush. Hush me. I wanted to make sure I was actually coming through on Twitch. We have so much from Rogue One. Yeah, there's a lot to cover. Between the TV shows and everything else. So, I just really hope that we continue seeing that. Rebels just need so much more love to be competitive. I actually think Rebels are in a better spot than Empire right now. Honestly, with the buffs that they got during the points changes, they feel stronger than Empire does right now to me. I would, sorry, I was looking at something. Ursus, I'm going to highly recommend that you stick around for the Rebel stream that I'm going to do probably in a couple weeks. I actually just ran a list that I think is absolutely hilarious. I called it the WA list. And it was just a melee skew list with rebels, and it was insanely good. I think especially with vigilance, a lot of people are looking at vigilance right now, and talking about how it's a really really good upgrade to like rebel lists. So Empire didn't get anything from this release that's like particularly good, but rebels definitely got some good upgrades from the specialist release. Zach, I did. I'm gonna wait till the very end to announce who got it. I wish I had like a graphic for it. It'd be super cool if I did, but I don't, unfortunately. Yeah. So just stay tuned, because I think there's some interesting rebel builds that I'll be able to do later on. Is there a reason Empire does clones tend to do better, except for double heavy? Empire's got their lightsaber users are basically, I feel a lot of times feel outclassed by other lightsaber users. At this point, Rex is just a better Veers in a lot of ways, because he generates more aims. He's got 5 command cards to Veers' effectively 2 in a lot of cases. Yeah, it's just arcs are better than Death Troopers. Like, ISF are good, but arcs are better. Arc strike teams just destroy scout strike teams. But I do think an ATS team might beat a Saber, depending on whether or not R2's there, and like if the build is built around the Saber. Just because the ATST is such a strong vehicle. So, also Empire is probably the weakest faction to suppression right now. Clones can ignore suppression largely. Droids can ignore suppression, obviously. Rebels have a lot of Inspire. Empire doesn't. Empire has... Krennic's nice to have Compel, but even then you're risking having yourself panic in like the late game. You just end up in this really bad situation where like it just feels awkward to play Empire right now, because you have weaknesses, and they're somewhat easy to exploit, whereas it feels like clones and CIS have very few weaknesses now, if any whatsoever. So that's where I'm saying it's hard to play Empire right now, and me, as everyone knows who knows me, I have made my success in this game playing Empire. The fact that I'm saying Empire's in a real bad spot right now should be pretty telling. Because I don't want to say it. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, Empire's in a bad spot. But, man, is it hard to build right now? I got my Stormtrooper watch that I bought recently here. I know I'm all about that Empire life. Can't tell, but... Oh man, is it hard to build right now? I can only hope that that Callus changes things up. And that, if there is a new heavy on the way, like people are suggesting, that it's good. That'd be cool. Because I could really use with a new heavy right now. Oh, Battlefield Custom. It's all right. That's all right. There's plenty of stream to go back on. We're just rolling up here. So anyway, I am gonna wrap this up a little bit. So what I ended up doing with the raffle was I took every name. I had to go through YouTube before YouTube deleted it, because for whatever reason it likes to delete my stream chats after the fact. And I put everyone's name into Excel. And then I did a random number thing, and the first one I picked actually was somebody who told me if they got it to send it back. So I did, and I decided to re-roll. And let me see here. Sorry, I'm scrolling through my thing here. I want to make sure I get the name right before I do anything else. So the person who won, his username is MRCJ Groff was who I got. So if you are watching, MRCJ Groff, you have won from Twitch, I think it was. So, yay! Sorry, I wish I am very excited. It was really, really cool. I wish I was trying to have like fanfare and a cool poof graphic and everything else with his name, but it didn't work out. So I will link that name in the Discord and in the YouTube and in the Twitch if I can. Excuse me. Oh man, I need to go back to my nap apparently. So if he does not get back to me within a week, I will do another drawing. So hopefully he's paying attention, because if he wants his Luke, I've got it. So yeah. Anyway, if anyone doesn't have any other questions, I'm gonna sign on off. I got D&D to get to, so I hope everyone enjoyed, and have a good night.